Hello, namaskar viewers. I am Sanjeev Pandya welcoming you to this week's edition of the Business Talk with AJ right here on ITV Gold. Happy to be with you once again in the same time slot that we bring you the business news, not only from US but from all over the world in this Business Talk with AJ show. The show is brought to you by Sai CPS Services, a full-fledged accounting firm with the professional tax preparation services, bookkeeping services, payroll services, and any tax related or business related matters. They can help you out. Multiple locations in the state of New Jersey. They can be reached by just dialing 908-380-6876. That's a 908-380-6876. Visit their website, saicpsservices.com. More about Sai CPS Services will be coming in this episode as we go along. First of all, let me welcome Mr. A.J. Kumar of Sai CPS Services. Good to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sanjeevji. Thank you for the kind introduction.
Yes, always very welcome. As now we are, getting into month of October. So here we are, October, November, December to go for this business news, and then tax season is around the corner.
Absolutely.
So, a lot of planning needs to be done right now. As I said, that will give you more information, and planning in the sense that you want to save on your taxes and you want to have your taxes done right. There may be some advices that you can use from Sai CPS Services, where to invest your money, where to park your money, and get the full deduction, tax deduction on your tax return, so that way you pay less taxes on your own money.
Absolutely.
And because you have invested it, and there are several programs that they can invest it, right?
There are a lot of options, and you're 100% right. A lot of people make this mistake. They go to the accountant in January, February, March. Oh, here is my document, can you file my taxes? And it's too late for any planning to be done because the year is already over. The planning actually starts in the fourth quarter. This is the right time, October, November, December, when you need to look at your books, how much profit you expect to make, what can you do now before the year end to minimize your tax liability. So very well said.
All right. Okay, with that note, let's move ahead with our business stories of the day, of the week in this episode. U.S. government estimates last quarter's economic growth was 2.1%. That's unchanged from the previous estimate. It's a good news. It's okay news.
Well, it's a good news. The good news in the sense is not lower. It's not against what they were expecting. So the expected growth was 2.1% and it happens to be 2.1%. We are talking about the second quarter here. If you remember in our last show, we mentioned for the first quarter, it was 2.2%. So it's slightly lower than the first quarter, but again, it's in line with the expectation that analysts were thinking. So 2.1% against 2.2% is not bad. It's a good news.
It's a good news. All right. And let's hope that it gets better and better instead of, 2.1, 2.2. Let's hope that it goes higher. Very few Americans are applying for job benefits.
Absolutely. So the job benefit claims have gone much lower than what we were expecting, which is a good thing for the economy. It shows a lot of people are able to find job. A lot of people are start their own business, so they're not relying on jobless claim, unemployment claims. So in total, it shows a good positive sign for the economy. It means the economy is coming out of recession, coming out of depression, and economy will soon be doing better than what we see today.
Okay, that's a really good news. Layoffs are very rare, and if it stays that way, it's a strong sign of economy that it's doing very well. Now, when there is economy doing well, obviously, then the value of dollar also needs to go up there, or value of dollar should hold to a high level against the competent countries' currencies.
Yeah, absolutely. This is how it works. When economy of a country is doing well, their currency tends to become stronger. So if you compare dollar versus euro, or if you compare dollar versus yen, you will see dollar is at its strongest position in last 10 months. So, if you compare dollar versus Indian rupees, dollar is holding up to a very high rate. Indian economy is doing very well thanks to the government over there. There are a lot of positive things happening over there. So in that case, it's a competition. Which currency is stronger? So you will see dollar is not really increasing in value compared to Indian rupees, that does not mean dollar is not doing well. Dollar is doing very well. It also means Indian currency is doing very well too. Indian economy is doing very well. When you compare dollar versus yen, Japanese yen and or euro, you will see dollar is at the highest point.
Very good. All right. So now let me understand this clearly, and let me try to help our viewers to understand this very correctly. Economy is unchanged, 2.1%, which is okay. That's a good news because it remains about same. Then dollar is high. Layoffs are very rare because less people, less Americans are filing for job benefits. So if everything is good, then why is this spending, consumer spending is weaker than expected?
Well, that's a great question. All these things is a cycle. So when you find a new job, when the jobless claims starts to go down, it takes at least 6 months for somebody to get comfortable and start spending the money. When you find your new job, you don't really go out of your way to spend a lot of money in buying car, furniture or other items. It's a cycle. People will take a couple of months, 3 to 6 months before the consumer spending starts to go up. Even though the jobless claims are lower, even though economy is showing good results, positive results, still we know due to high inflation, gas prices are very high, the highest level. We know home prices are very high. So there are a lot of things that are priced at very high, which shows into inflation. So people are buying what they absolutely need to buy. They're not really buying what we call luxury items yet.
Because things are very expensive.
Things are
expensive, and
expensive.
especially the daily things that you need for the grocery and
They are
the
on the
gas
higher
and
side.
stuff like that.
They are
It's very
expensive side.
right?
And when the jobless claims starts to go down, it takes about 6 months before it shows up in the consumer spending.
Yes,
There is a confidence factor. There's a lag over there.
Right, absolutely. All right, so as we talked about this U.S. economy and everything else, right? Now you know the picture. Now let's bring in some very interesting stories. We are now in 21st century, 2023, 2024 is just around the corner. Do you remember there was a time about, 3 decades ago, 2 decades ago, we used to rent out DVDs from that box called Red Box,
Yes.
which would be outside
I
7-Eleven.
remember the Blockbuster time as well. If
Yes.
you go back further, before
Correct.
Netflix, there used to be Blockbuster that was bankrupt and they stopped having those shops.
Correct.
And then came Netflix, the red envelope.
Well, actually, Netflix was born out of Blockbuster.
Absolutely.
The reason is because this person rented a movie, and when he went to return the movie at the Blockbuster, that must have been VHS or DVD tape, I don't know, and they charged so much late fees, and then he decided to start Netflix, and that's how Netflix was born. My story is that we used to rent out these DVDs out of Redbox, right? Take it home, watch a movie for a day or two, and then return it. So that era is now ending. After 25 years, this was Netflix startup. So Netflix now have decided to stop completely up the Redbox
It's a good
DVD
example.
rentals.
It's a very good example how a corporation has to be agile enough to change with the time. If Netflix kept doing what they started doing, renting the movies through the Redbox, they would be out of business by now. And that's what happened to Blockbuster. Blockbuster had good following, great business, lot of shops everywhere. If they had changed their business model, went online, you would have had a streaming service from Blockbuster now.
Absolutely.
Now we have a streaming service from Netflix. Not a lot of people are taking those DVD out, and it made sense for the company. It made sense for Netflix to stop that Redbox completely.
So the time is really changing. So that is going to be now out of the way. And Panera Bread, actually, they have released the a menu, and that's inspired by Roman Empire.
Yes.
So this is very interesting. Next time you go to Panera Bread and you see something different menu, which is inspired by Roman Empire, don't be surprised. Just know that you heard it right here in the Business Talk Show on ITV. So this is, they released the menu after the latest TikTok trend. So now the story that the point I'm trying to bring in is the DVD rental era comes to an end. Netflix is popular. Who doesn't have Netflix nowadays,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
now TikTok trend is really also becoming very, very hot, and then one of those sought after things for businesses to go to promote their product.
Absolutely, you're 100% right. The business has to be agile. Business has to change with the time. I remember the days when we used to have a website only, and that was a big deal. Your company has a website. Then the time came when you had to have the SEO around
Yes.
it. Then the time came when you have to have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, a LinkedIn page. So unless you keep changing the business model, keep changing the menu for the restaurant, keep changing the way you do things, you will be phased out. So you have to be agile enough, upgrade the technology, upgrade your business model as the time comes.
All right, as the time comes, we are into now smart devices era. This is what the time is, and everyone plays games on their smart device, right? And you think the gaming industry is very, very hot and has a great future? Wait till you hear this. Epic Games. This is the maker of Fortnite, which is one of the most popular games, right? And they just announced 2 days ago that they're going to be laying off 16% of its staff, because obviously the other games are in the market and people are paying more attention to the other games. So about 830 people will be getting laid off from Epic Games as it attempts to reverse unrealistic spending on games.
Absolutely. So everything is changing. I can foresee a time when you will have virtual competition among these video games. Instead of having this live soccer game, instead of having live football game, you will have a lot of these games played virtually among virtual teams, and there will be prizes, there will be stadiums, virtual game stadiums where a lot of people are showing up, registering for the game, and there is a virtual competition happening where everybody is assigned a seat. So everybody has the same computer power, everybody has the same facility. So there is nothing advantageous to anybody. So imagine a situation when you have a big stadium full of computer screen, people are registering to sit on each computer screen and playing a virtual game.
That's all games are all about. All right, with that note, we come to the end of the first half of the Business Talk with AJ show, and we're going to be back after these messages with more business stories for you, so please stay with us. Welcome back to the second half of the Business Talk with AJ. In this show, you get to know the latest business stories from US and from all over the world. Sometimes business stories that you may have missed it, and you get to know it right here in our show. Brought to you by Sai CPS Services, an accounting firm. They can help you from starting your business all the way to payroll services and to IRS audit in case if there is one, also corporate taxes, and then personal taxes. They also have virtual CFO services in case if you ever need that. If there is an accounting firm which is advancing with the time and making very, very, very easily affordable services available to their clients, to people like you, no matter where you are in the United States, Sai CPA Services is one of them, with multiple locations in the state of New Jersey, and they can really guide you in the right direction when it comes to your taxes, whether personal or corporate, doesn't matter. So reach out to them, 908-380-6876. Now here's the story, AJ, that is now very, very important story. And now during the weekend, I think on all the talk shows, we're going to hear more and more about this story, which is U.S. government shutdown. U.S. government shutdown is very imminent, and U.S. government notified federal workers just a couple of days ago that a shutdown appears imminent, because Republicans and Democrats are not agreeing to certain things. So this Republican-led standoff on Capitol Hill forced the Biden administration to begin the formal methodical process of preparing much of Washington to come to a halt. What's going to happen? We really don't know. October 1st, Sunday, is when the shutdown begins.
Absolutely. So just to put everything in perspective, a government shutdown means $1.9 billion, not million, $1 billion in lost revenue or deferred revenue. That's a lot of money. It will also mean a lot of federal workers, millions of federal workers will not have a job, will not have a paycheck. So it's not deferred salary, they just don't get paid. So think about it, when you have millions of people not getting paid, what impact would it have on the economy? they have to be cost conscious, they have to be saving money. So it will have repercussions for the long term, not just immediate. And think about the situation, economy is already struggling. We have high inflation. We are talking about 2.1% growth in second quarter versus 2.2% growth in the first quarter. At this point of time in October, if we have the government shutdown, it can have various impact,
Yes.
a lot of repercussions on the economy as well.
So now, you must be wondering that what would happen, what could happen if real government shutdown takes place. Well, there are some important programs going to be affected, and I just want to bring, several programs to you. This government shutdown could have an immediate impact on a program called WIC, which is a program that provides grocery assistance to about 7 million pregnant people.
Think about it.
Okay.
7 million
mothers
people are
and
not
children,
able to get
yes, including more
groceries.
than half of the newborns in the United States. So that, and some recipients of the special supplemental nutrition program known
Absolutely.
as SNAP, all right, for women, infants, and children may be turned away from stores as early as next week.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is going to be happening, and beside that, many other programs which is government really funds, such as the agriculture department, they're also going to have, they're also going to have pause on their funding available also. But mainly, this poor people or poor people who are using these benefits to survive, to have their daily, meal every day, not only for individual but infants and babies and children. This is all going to be affected because of politics between Republicans and Democrats.
Well, even if you are not one of them who is directly impacted, even if you don't use a SNAP program, WIC program, or other government aid, a lot of other people will still be affected. If you own a grocery store, you have lesser grocery sales. If you have any retail store, people are not walking in because they can't afford to walk in. So it will have a lot of large impact on everybody's.
Yep.
For some, it's more direct than others, but everybody will get affected with this.
This is going to be really, really interesting. I hope that they find a solution. I really don't understand that next year is election year. We're talking United States of America. Economy is doing well and everything. How can these politicians let this go this close to government shutdown date?
I think, as you rightly said, it's all politics. From a Republican perspective, they want to let the public know Democrats could not manage it. They did not maintain it well. If you look at it from Democrats' perspective, they want to make sure that they come across as a winner. So right before the election year, especially during the election year, it's very important for each party, each person to look good in public eyes.
Sure.
And a lot of time it becomes more of an ego issue, more of a political issue than actually the economic issue.
Yeah, but many people are suffering, and that should not be that way. Anyway, you mentioned Democratic Party. Let me just say the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, is going to give a democracy speech. All right, and that's going to have a lot of information about his campaign going into the year 2024. The White House has announced that President Biden's upcoming speech will also pay tribute to the legacy of the late Arizona Senator John McCain, who was a Republican, not only a Republican, but a prominent Republican and a war hero. So Joe Biden is going to pay tribute to this gentleman who was a Republican, and Joe Biden will give a key speech in Arizona, all right, on protecting democratic institutions. And by the time you actually watch the show, Joe Biden's speech would have occurred, and hopefully you would have made some notes. But this is what election time, they're getting ready for it, but they are not talking about funding this government shutdown thing, so that way government doesn't shut down.
Think about it, a Democratic president giving tribute to a Republican war hero, a senator from Republican, to have more votes as opposed to looking at the ground reality, where the economy is going, why we have a government shutdown, why the gas prices are so high, why the inflation is so high. And you have to see it. It gets really, really funny at times when it comes to the election year, that everybody is talking about the vote bank as opposed to the population.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's go to the next one. This has to do with the U.S. government and Amazon. All right, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, known as FTC. So U.S. files antitrust lawsuit against Amazon, and this is going to get nasty and very interesting.
Well, Amazon is a large company. Amazon is the largest retailer. The problem is when you are the largest retailer in a country, you can artificially drop the price because you can afford to lose the money. But when your prices are so low, a lot of other small businesses will go out of business. And as soon as the other businesses go out of business, you can triple the price because there is no competition anymore. This is called antitrust rule. FTC along with 17 other states are filing a lawsuit against Amazon that Amazon is not playing fair. In many cases, Amazon drops the price significantly so nobody else can compete. And then in many cases, they are charging double, triple price for the same item just because there is no competition anymore. They killed the competition.
Yep.
This is what the FTC is claiming.
All right, so that's the Federal Trade Commission, that's the federal government, US government, and they're going to be joined by 17 states in the United States of America in filing
And there could
this.
be more. As soon as the case starts, there may be
Yes.
more states joining the same case.
Amazon would have to come up with a very strong defense.
Amazon has won the case earlier. When
Yes.
there was a sales tax case, when there was a case in Europe against
Yes,
Amazon.
exactly.
So Amazon is a billion-dollar corporation.
And this kind of thing had happened to Microsoft also in the
Absolutely.
late 90s because when there was a monopoly and then,
That's where it starts.
they had to go, Bill Gates and everybody else had to go to US Senate and answer the questions and everything else. So this is part of it. All right, now let's move on to some very, let's say entertainment news, all right? I'm not saying lighter news because this story is not a light story or this story is not a very entertaining story, but we must bring it to you. There was this movie called The Exorcist. This was a 1973 film.
The horror movie.
Exactly. The horror movie was really horror movie. 50 years later, right? And there's going to be an upcoming installment, The Exorcist Believer. But Alan Bernstein returns to legendary horror franchise 50 years later in this Exorcist Believer story.
And this was the first movie that got how many? 10 awards?
Easily.
So before this movie, horror movies were never
10 Oscar nominations.
10 Oscar nominations. The
Yes.
first movie getting 10 Oscar nomination as a horror movie.
As a
It was a
best
big
picture,
deal.
as a best picture.
Yes.
Can you believe that? So, and it actually won 2 Academy Awards.
Wow.
So that's a story. Now moving on to this, entertainment. Let's touch upon Bollywood also. There is a strong competition going on at the box office between Sunny Deol's Gadar 2 and Shah Rukh Khan's Jawan. All right. According to one of the reports that I read, I'm not sure if so don't quote me to it, but that said that Gadar 2 has exceeded collection of Pathan in India, not the worldwide.
Pathan or Jawan?
Yeah, Pathan. I'm talking Pathan because Pathan was the highest making film, Hindi film till this day. So now Gadar 2 has surpassed that, but Jawan is right behind Gadar 2. And we're talking India box office, okay? We're not talking worldwide because worldwide, if you look at it, Shah Rukh really ruled the entire world with both
Jawan
the
is
films,
doing much better.
Pathan and Jawan. And now he's going to have another movie coming up in December, precisely a couple of days before December, before Christmas, and it's going to be Donkey. That's the name of the movie called Donkey, and it's all has to do about illegal immigrant and how they really want to get out of India and go to another country and stuff like that. So Shah Rukh Khan is unstoppable. His movies are unstoppable at the box office, and Donkey is coming up. So
There are a lot
let's see.
of good movies coming up. Actually,
Yeah,
I heard there is
exactly.
Salman Khan movie coming. There are a lot of new movies coming up. Good
All right,
coming
movies always come up, but interesting thing is coming up starting from October 5th is the ICC's World Cup tournament in India. This 50 over format of World Cup tournament is scheduled to start from October 5th in India, and the games are going to be played at various places.
Absolutely.
And of course, stakes are very high because India is there, and the World Cup is happening in India. Last time World Cup happened in India was in 2011. That's when Mahendra Singh Dhoni's the helicopter shot got India a second World Cup trophy after 1984. So now here we are in 2023, 12 years later. Let's see what happens. But in the next week episode, we'll have a little more information about the World Cup. But I think one sad news or shocking news that Indian cricket team fans have come to know is that one of the reliable all-rounders, Akshar Patel, is going to be out of the tournament because of the injury that he suffered in the Asia Cup, which was just recently held.
But India has a lot of players coming back from injury as well. So Shreyas Iyer is back.
KL Rahul
is back.
Yes, they are doing
Our
good.
star bowler is
Yes.
back. So we have a lot of good players. India did very well against Australia. India did very
India
well.
won the series. Yeah, they won
Absolutely,
first two games.
absolutely.
They lost
so
the
India has
third
a lot
game.
of good players.
Yes.
Good lineup, batting
Yes.
lineup, bowling lineup. So we are looking forward to it.
That would be interesting. So this is going to be October 5th to November 19th. World Cup in India. So let's see what happens. And of course, we want India to win. I think all in all, there are about 10 teams, if I'm not mistaken, right? So there are 10 teams, and let's see how India
If you
advances.
take a step back, out of 10 teams, India has played and won against 5 of them. Pakistan, Bangladesh,
Yes.
Sri Lanka, Australia
Yes.
in last 4 weeks.
Correct. Well, Australia, listen, you really shouldn't just say that because India beat Australia in 2 games. It really doesn't mean that.
Well, of course, it's a good team. Australia is a good team.
You
On a
can't
day-
underwrite Australia in the World
Absolutely.
Cup game.
But so is
Every
Pakistan.
single team.
Yep, so
Every
is
single team
Pakistan,
is
so is
important.
Sri Lanka.
Correct.
They're good teams.
And you know what? This may be the first time, I think, in history, I think it's the first time, West Indies did not qualify
Yeah,
for the
that's a big
World
deal.
Cup.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
That's amazing.
Netherlands is in there.
And West Indies is
Afghanistan
not.
is in there.
And West Indies is not.
Yes, and West Indies did not qualify. Once upon a time, West Indies ruled the world of cricket.
Absolutely.
They were the one who had won World Cup back to back when the World Cup started, and the third World Cup, which with the third series of it, India won. Otherwise, West Indies would have had a hat trick of winning 2 World Cups, and now West Indies did not even qualify, so they're not going to be there. So cricket is a game, yes, constantly that you have to play, and you have to have your players really active. And everyone's excited in India. People are going to have a lot of fun watching the games in their cities, whether in person at the stadium or at home. So with that note, we come to an end of this business talk with AJ. But I'm sure AJ will have some kind of tax-related information before we close the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sanjeev ji. So if you filed an extension for your taxes, or if you have a C corporation, just remember October 15th is right around the corner. You need to file your taxes before the deadline if you filed an extension for your personal taxes or for your C corporation. If you need any help, please call us.
All right, good. With that note, we come to an end of the Business Talk with AJ show, brought to you by Sai CPS Services. And when AJ says call Sai CPS Services, you should call them 908-380-6876. Visit their website, saicpsservices.com. AJ, once again, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
And I am Sanjeev Pandya, wishing you all happy and tax-free days ahead. Keep smiling until we meet again, same place, same time next week. So long.
Thank you.